Now that the South Carolina primaries are over, Michigan comes next, and then all eyes turn to Super Tuesday on March 5th.
Aaron Baker takes a closer look at how the results from those states could change the state of the race.
Nigel, Carol, it's called Super Tuesday because it's the biggest single day in the primary. On the Republican side, 874 delegates are at stake at these contests, and 1,215 delegates are needed to get the nomination. And this is where the math gets really tough for Nikki Haley, because most of these Super Tuesday states award delegates to the candidate that gets more than 50% of the vote. There are a few exceptions, though. Tennessee is winner-take-all at 66.7%. And Minnesota's winner-take-all at 80%. And these three Super Tuesday states, Alaska, Colorado, and North Carolina, are not winner-take-all.
I think in North Carolina, Nikki Haley's strategy is probably similar to what it is elsewhere. Hang in and hang on and hope something big changes, right? So if Donald Trump ends up with pulling out of the race for any number of reasons that I won't even go into, if Nikki Haley is there as the alternative.
In a recent North Carolina poll, former President Trump is in the lead with 76% support compared to 19% for Haley.
Thank you, Aaron. Political analyst Brent Nelson joins us again now. And Brent, as Aaron just explained, Super Tuesday is next. Tonight, both candidates talked about what's next for them. Let's take a listen.
But Michigan's up, and we're going to have a tremendous success there. And then we have a thing called Super Tuesday.
In the next 10 days, another 21 states and territories will speak.
Haley says she isn't going anywhere, so what do you think her long play could be?
Well, I think her long play is to continue the conversation about where the Republican Party is going in the future. She represents the more conservative traditional wing of the party, whereas Donald Trump represents the populists. And this is the battle going on in the heart of the party right now. Now, obviously, Donald Trump has the glide path to the nomination. And after Super Tuesday, about 2/3 of the delegates will have already been decided, and a whole lot of those are going to go to Donald Trump. So Nikki Haley is staying in just to keep the conversation going, maybe for 2028, but also, as Professor Cooper said, if something big happens and Donald Trump is in jail or has a health crisis, she will be there to pick up the pieces.
So speaking of that, tonight Donald Trump said he is now looking towards the general election. But before then, he's got numerous court cases that he has to deal with and numerous fines he has to pay. What does that do when it comes to the convention in Milwaukee later on this year? Could that mean that there's a battle over who gets the nomination?
Well, first of all, Donald Trump has used every one of his court appearances to raise money and increase his support among Republicans. So I don't think he's really all that worried about some of those court appearances. But of course, the convention is the official place where a nominee is decided. And should there be some problem, then they could choose a Nikki Haley or somebody else. But I wouldn't count on it. Right. These kinds of things don't happen very often. And I think if things go as they're going, he's going to be nominated and do so with a very strong support from a fairly united Republican Party by that time.
Brent Nelson, thanks so much for your input.